What's going on, everybody? My name's Eric, this is FatalRPM, and today we're going to be putting all the little bits and pieces on the VG that we need before we get it put back in the Z. So basically, this is the home stretch here. So we just have a couple little things that we need to do here, some major things, like actually drilling the hole in the oil pan so that we can put the drain for the turbo into the oil pan. That's something I've been putting off because I legitimately remembered I needed to do it pretty much the day after I put the oil pan on. So I've been dreading doing that. And also I don't think I have the appropriate Christmas tree bit to actually drill that hole in. I don't know. We'll get to that though. But without further ado, let's give the VG the attention it deserves.
Alright, so starting on here, we're going to be working on the throttle body. Now, this is a universal throttle body that I purchased off of eBay. I'm not going to be linking it down below because it was a very misleading listing. It actually said that it was for the SR20 in multiple places, but in a few different places it said that it wasn't actually designed for a particular car. So after doing some research, I had figured out that the SR20 or one of the particular, I forget exactly which engine it was, I think it is the SR20, has the same bolt pattern as our VGs here for the throttle body. And our VG's throttle body is around 53 millimeters, and the throttle body here that I'm using is a 70 millimeter throttle body. So it's kind of a step up in throttle body size. I don't know if it's going to really make a big difference, but you know, it's something that I threw on there, and it also helps me engineer some new parts here. Now I do have some footage recorded of actually creating this thing, so if you guys actually want like a video on how I created the throttle body adapter for this, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. But for brevity's sake, I'm going to go ahead, push past this. Just know that I printed it two different versions. One was in a resin, cheaper resin that you can see here, the black one. And the second one was in an actual engineering resin, which is going to be able to hold up to the temperatures that are going to be seeing under this hood. So we should be good as far as that goes.
I'm just going to snug these up because there's really no point in making them ultra tight because there's no gasket on here and it's going to have to come back off on both sides anyway. But no harm, no foul.
For those of you thinking that this plastic part is not going to be the strongest, this is for you.
Look at that. Goddamn strong ass 3D printed part. Let's go. The proper throttle. Proper throttle.
So as far as the oiling system goes for the turbo, I did get a kit that was on Amazon, and essentially what it is it comes with one pre-made stainless braided line for the feed. It's about a 4AN. I say it is about a 4AN. It is 4AN on one side. On the other side, I forget what the exact measurement is, but I'll leave a link to it down in the description. Any links that I do generally use from Amazon too are affiliate links, so if you do decide to go through with purchasing anything, please do use my links as it will give me a little kickback, and anything I get back from this channel, I will. Anything I get as far as the kickback goes will go back into the channel. Not that it's been much over the years, but you know, every little bit helps here. But anyway, the kit is that 4AN feed as well as a 10AN out. Now the 10AN is not made, so you will need the tools to actually make it. You want a decent wrench, some soft jaws, and a vise. Honestly, the vise is a must-have for making your own AN lines. You will hate yourself otherwise. And that is no joke at all. You will hate yourself.
Alright, so luckily I stopped to check what this would interfere with, because this guy here, which is a transmission support, or it's another place for transmission to bolt up the engine, actually goes in there. So I might have to stick this back on here with a couple bolts, and then stick this on here so that I can actually mark out the area where that goes. This needs cleaned. I know I have on gloves, but I'm also touching stuff that isn't this dirty, so I don't want to get the things that I'm touching more dirty, which this will absolutely do, because this is supposed to be that color, but you can clearly see it's not. So yeah. Alright, I'm gonna spray this down with some Zep, let it sit for a couple minutes, and we'll scrape it all off, clean it all up.
Now, inlines are generally aluminum. That goes without saying. But our oil pan is stainless steel, and we cannot weld aluminum to stainless steel. I have no idea why I said weld like that. But that's why finding a stainless steel 10AN bung was so important and surprisingly difficult. There's only one seller on Amazon that does it. And if anybody was wondering why I use Amazon for a lot of the stuff that I'm buying, the reason why is because I have everything attached to the channel, and I have a business account on Amazon, and it's a lot easier to track the amount of money that I'm spending on the Z here and on any of the projects that I'm doing for the channel. But yeah, so dash 10 and stainless steel AN bung that we're going to be welding in here with a quick center punch on there. Drill that out to the space that we need, wobble it around just to make sure it fits in there, and go ahead and weld this boy in there. So one quick thing that I want to mention here is we're going to be making some blockoff plates from scratch. The easiest way to do that is generally with some scrap metal that you have lying around if you have any. I started out using the cut pieces of the fender However, once I got it cleaned up and everything, that metal was just a bit too thin for me to feel comfortable using. So unfortunately, we might have a leak in this place because this was the first block-off plate I made. But I did have some welding coupons that were made of aluminum that I'm not using since I can't weld aluminum with my current machine. So I did use those in the future to create the block-off plates that I use for pretty much anything that I didn't already have. But the easiest way to make these is to go ahead and take whatever part it is that used to go there, trace the flange on a piece of cardboard, something that's a little bit thicker that has some integrity to it. You want to cut that out, then you want to like tape it down to a piece of metal, whatever you're going to use to make the cutout or the block off. Once you do that, go ahead, like run a marker over the edges so you get a nice thing, get a rough cut on there. I recommend to cut just like about 1/8 of an inch outside of the lines. That way you have a nice final shape that you can actually get down to. And then you want to go ahead and sand down those edges, usually with some type of automatic sander. You don't want to be going at this mechanically with like a file. You want to put it like on a belt sander or something. Flat disc is more than likely going to be the easiest way to get it done. And then just shape it down into its final shape before going ahead and installing it on the car. So another cool thing that we have here is this O-ring kit, and essentially this will allow us to make our own O-rings for whatever we need here on the car. And what we're going to be doing here is making an O-ring for the water outlet up top for where it bolts into the intake runners, since we do have coolant that flows through those on the VG. And it's really easy. We just cut it to length by setting it down in that recess. Then we super glue the ends together, put it back in, and there we go. We got an O-ring. Super simple, super easy to use. And honestly, it's kind of an invaluable thing to have, because we've all been in a situation where we pinched an O-ring or the O-ring's super dried out and we can't be used anymore. And this allows us to be able to recreate that. Now for the final thing we're going to be getting done in this video, and that's going to be fitting up the alternator. And what I mean by that is, I mean like legitimately getting it bolted in and getting it tensioned correctly. The Z32 hardware is super not easy to find, like at all. So instead of doing that, we headed over to the auto parts store and got the Dorman alternator tension kit, or Dorman alternator hardware kit. I forget exactly what it's called. We used the 5/16 bolt that's in there, stacked a couple locking washers on either side, and threw a locking nut on the back, which works phenomenally well. The more difficult part was the tensioner itself. So we went ahead with a universal style of tensioner. And essentially what it is it's 2 Heim joints on the end of a tie rod. And that worked really well. The only downside is I couldn't find one that was like around the right size that we needed. They were either way too small or too big. It was hard to find what I went for, but the one that I did go for still needed to be cut down. So just so you know, I will link it down below, but be wary. If you do get this, you will need to cut it. I had to cut mine quite a significant amount, and you still want some adjustability in there. So be careful if you do this. Otherwise, do some research, look other places, and actually take the measurement to see how long of a link you need. That's going to be the easiest way for you to get the correct tension on this alternator. This is the Nissan Titan alternator, by the way, from the 05 models. And it has a 6-rib pulley on it, but we're using the 4-rib belt and pulleys from the Z32. As far as the pulley for the water pump goes, that is just purchased secondhand Z32 water pump pulley, and the Ross Performance harmonic balancer is made for a Z32, so it all automatically falls in line with the water pump when you have the appropriate spacers that we will cover in the actual trigger kit video. So whenever that is actually ready, I'm going to go ahead and link it up here in the top right so that you can check that out, because it's going to be a minute. I want to have the car running and everything before I go into it. Also, I am going to be doing videos, individual videos, for pretty much every aspect of this. That's the reason why I'm not going super into detail about any one particular thing. We will be doing a fuel system video, we will be doing a wiring video, and we will be doing a alternator video itself, because the alternator itself is completely separate from wiring. And you will get the information of what I finally got to work in my situation here in all of those videos. So if you have not already, please do subscribe. It helps out a lot, and you'll be able to get notified whenever those videos get dropped, as long as you click the bell icon next to subscribe whenever you do so. Also, drop a like on this video if it's helping you out at all, because this is officially the last piece that we have to get on the car. From here, or not on the car, this is the last piece that we have to get on the engine. From here, we just got to install the clutch and flywheel, which will be in the next video. It's going to be dropping legitimately right after this video. So if you're sitting there with your popcorn and food, get ready, buckle up, and you'll have another video coming out here really, really soon. And after that, we're going to be installing this engine. Once we get the engine installed, we'll be doing the wiring, and we'll get the tuning figured out and get the first start done. And then once everything is running well, I'm going to go back through all my footage, grab everything that I can to be able to put together these fuel system videos, the alternator videos, and the Ross Performance trigger kit video, just so that the appropriate information is out there on the interwebs, because a lot of this I just am kind of trying for the first time around. It's not information I was able to find. Granted, the Nissan Titan one had some information online about it. There was nothing about this Ross Performance kit or making it work with the timing or the accessory belts or anything like that online, not even from Ross Performance themselves. There was nothing as far as the wiring goes for the Z particular, as far as from what I could see. Granted, I didn't really do a whole bunch of research. I did search a couple things like, hey, what's needed for to carry over from the original harness. But other than that, there's not a whole bunch of other stuff that I have on there. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you did like the video, please go ahead and drop a like down below. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon next to it so you get notified whenever I do drop those videos. As always, I want to thank you again for watching. Peace out, and I will see you in the next one.